Hello world, and thank you for watching. What I have here are two radios that I like to compare with one another. To my left I have a walkera DEVO 6S, and to my right I have a jumper t8sg plus V2. Yes, plus V2. And what's special about these two radios is their small form factor. Full-size radios out there on the market are a dime a dozen. You have plenty of options there. But when it comes to small, computerized, quality radios, you'd be surprised on how hard-pressed you would be to find one. Now, the second thing that sets these two radios apart that's very important is their ability to run deviation as well as 4-in-1 modules. In short, what that allows you to do is run virtually anything in your fleet, from all your quadcopters, both the ones that you got from Amazon, Banggood, the ones that you built yourself, as well as your RC planes, helicopters, boats, cars, virtually anything on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. So without further ado, let me go ahead and compare and contrast these two radios and see what you think. Alright, so I'd like to start off with the deviation DEVO 6S from walkera. Quick story about this radio is that you are not able to find this radio anywhere. It is very, very, very rare, and it's not sold in stores. Reason being, it was discontinued years ago by walkera, and even when it was in circulation, it was hard to find. And even if you did happen to chance upon one, it was expensive. So because it was one of those top shelf, hard to find items, it never became popular, which is a damn shame if you ask me, because this is everything that the DEVO 7E failed to be. Speaking of the DEVO 7E, it is the exact same size as the DEVO 7E. However, it is head and shoulders better. More switches, better gimbals, and a full screen. And on the inside, it had a full functioning module, unlike the DEVO 7E, which was, as I understand it, sabotaged from the factory. And I've had all the radios. I've had the walkera 2801, I've had the walkera DEVO 7, I've had the walkera DEVO 7E, I've had the 12S, and I've had the 8S and the 10. And I always come back to this radio. I just love this radio. I love how it feels. I love using deviation on it with the stylus, and everything is just a breeze, and it's everything that I needed. And here's the difference between this one and this one that's important to know. This radio, and this is the one that came out of the box that walkera sent me, is not does not have included deviation, and it also does not have a 4-in-1 module installed. Let me push that to the side. But this radio does. I went ahead and opened up the radio. I added the 4-in-1 module. I added this SMA connector antenna, and I also flashed the deviation firmware. And it has suited my needs for years now, for at least 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 5 years. Anywho, adding the 4-in-1 module to this radio is actually very easy. It's only 3 solder points onto the radio and 3 solder points onto the module itself, and just connecting the module. So when it comes to adding the 4-in-1 module, the DEVO 6S, and I can tell you this from experience, is the easiest radio to add it to from the deviation line. The second one being the DEVO 10, which also is one that you can just simply add, and that's it. Now the DEVO 7E and the DEVO 8S, to get that extra module, you have to solder on to the CPU of the radio, so it's a lot harder to do. Not impossible, just a lot harder. And with that said, let me move on to the next radio. In regards to this radio, the Jumper T8sg plus V2, I am sorry to say I'm not too familiar with the history of it. I believe this is the 3rd iteration of the series, with the first one being a black and white panda looking radio, and the second one being the exact same thing minus the Hall effect gimbals. What I do know and can say and can applaud about this radio is that right out the box it has deviation installed, as well as the 4-in-1 modules. So without further ado, let me go ahead and compare this radio with the DEVO 6S. All right, so first things first, when it comes to size, they are pretty much the same damn thing. Nothing outstanding for either of them. When it comes to height, the DEVO 6S is going to be a tiny bit shorter. When it comes to width, the DEVO 6S is going to be a tiny bit more stout, with this one being slimmer. But when it comes to size, they are both they're both really small, which is the whole point of them. And with that said, there's no winning or losing when it comes to size. They're both perfect when it comes to the small form factor. Now the jumper came with this tiny little case and it fits perfect, and I went ahead and added the DEVO 6S into the same case and they fit the exact same. So great news there. Next one up is going to be a little bit interesting, and that's going to be in regards to the screen. The DEVO 6S has a capacitive touchscreen with a stylus. It is very easy to flow through the menus and the mixers and do whatever it is you want to do on deviation. In fact, deviation shines on the 8S and DEVO 6S touchscreen color screens displays. It's just an awesome experience using deviation on these radios. Now, shortcomings of the screen is under direct sunlight is going to be hard to see compared to other radios out there. And also, when you look at it from the sides, it's going to be a little bit harder to see as well. So you have to be directly in front of the screen to make the most of it. And the funny thing is, most people who have the DEVO 6S don't even know that there's a stylus included and that it's right there. Now, when it comes to the jumper, I like how it turns on. You just push a button and it advertises an OLED display. Now, I'm not too sure what the advantages of that are. What I have noticed is that it's very easy to see the radio from the sides. So I'm going to assume that that's the selling point for the OLED, is that it's easier to see when you look at it sideways. Also, it's better to read this one under direct sunlight versus that one. However, it is still not that great under direct sunlight, at least from my experience using this radio. On a cloudy day, it's not bad. It performs better than this one, but under direct sunlight, it's very hard to see. Compared to other radios, of course, the black and white screen radios. Another thing about the screen and using deviation on this is that there is no stylus. I can't quickly go from one end to another. But compared to the DEVO 7E, I like how you're able to use this radio for enter, backwards, and then flowing through everything here. And as you noticed, when it comes to looking at the channels, it's not as cool as it was on the DEVO 6S because you can see it in bars, while here you see it in bars, but just in a different flavor. But for people who are using DEVO 7E, you're going to feel right at home with this menu. Let me go ahead and turn this off. So when it comes to screens, it's a crapshoot on this one. I prefer the DEVO 6S simply because of the touchscreen display. I can go ahead and add mix to it. I can go ahead and name my module, select a module so much faster and easier than I could on a t8sg. But the t8sg does have a nice screen that you can see, you know, under sunlight and all that. If I was to compare this to the DEVO 7E, they both win. But if I had a personal preference, I would go with the DEVO 6S simply because it's just a better screen to work with. But do know that it has its shortcomings. And this gets a check too, just because it's a nice screen for a radio. It's just not the color display that would make it awesome. So when it comes to the gimbals, this is going to be a no-brainer. I thought the Hall effect gimbals from the jumper was going to be gimmicky and, not much of a difference. I was wrong. I loved using these gimbals. And just simply put, the jumper T8sg wins with those Hall effect gimbals. I wish the DEVO 6S had Hall effect gimbals. It was a night and day difference. I did not think that I was going to feel a difference, but definitely these ones I could feel the friction, which might be a good thing if you're flying bigger quadcopters or helicopters. But when it came to flying the tiny whoop around the house and doing figure eights with one of my quadcopters, I preferred this one. So yes, Hall effect gimbals are freaking awesome. I'll never look back, and I want to add that to my DEVO 6S. I want this radio to have Hall effect gimbals. So, yep, it gets that check mark there. Next on the list is going to be quality and build. That is also a no contest, but this time in the favor to the DEVO 6S. The DEVO 6S, although a little bit heavier, just feels, aside from feeling more solid, the quality is there. You really feel it. You feel it with the rubber, with the plastics, with the way that everything fits and finish, and everything is just perfect. And the way that you can just open this and everything here, you can slide your battery tray out, and then the way it fits back in is just awesome. Nothing is jiggling on the inside, it's great. It's a great radio. The jumper, unfortunately, feels all right. The plastic is okay. I'm not going to complain too much about the plastic, but when it comes to the color scheme, this contrast between yellow and black, I'm not really a fan of it, but it's not bad. But what I will complain about is the battery tray. First off, this thing just shakes everywhere in there. Here, now we can close it. Yeah. So not the best fit there. And additionally, and I don't know if you can see this on the camera, look at this. It doesn't sit flush. So yeah, the fit is not really the best. And don't think that it's, if I do it this way, it'll do it this way. I think I can sand it down, make it fit better, but still, for out of the box, it's not really working out for me. Yeah, and you probably can't see this on the camera, but over here, it's sticking out. Also, if I was to stand this radio here, it is likely to fall down. I don't feel comfortable putting this radio standing up anywhere. One, because of the battery tray, which I will fix after this video, but two, it's just because of its slim profile. It'll just wobble all over the place. This one, I won't feel bad at all just putting it on the ground in the concrete somewhere, and I know it's not going to just fall on its own accord. This one, the slightest thing will knock it over. So something to be watchful for. When it comes to the quality and build, I prefer the DEVO 6S in regards to that. Next on the list is the charging and battery. I do not like how this one, the battery tray fits and wobbles all over the place. And I think that's an easy fix on their end. Just something a little bit better sized and won't be wobbling all over the place. But another thing is, to my understanding, so sorry if I'm wrong, you cannot charge the batteries inside this radio by plugging in a DC inlet. This one, if you have the rechargeable batteries inside, you can. Not lipos. I'm talking about those Eneloops. I think it's NIMH batteries. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can tell you what batteries these are. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find out what battery these are called, but it's the Eneloops, the rechargeable ones, and I'm pretty confident it's the NIMH batteries. And like it will say here, 4 pieces of 1.2 NiCad, which are not what's inside here. But nonetheless, yes, you can go ahead and charge your batteries through this port right here, the charging port. As long as you run the correct voltage, it is very convenient. And again, do not use LiPos to charge. But that is one additional plus that this one gets that this one does not, because as far as I know, you cannot charge your batteries inside this radio. Setup and multi-module, and what that means is that right off the box, can you go ahead and use deviation and the 4-in-1 module? And as you've probably already gathered, you cannot do that with the DEVO 6S. You're gonna have to put in some work into it. If you can even find the radio, you're gonna have to add a $30 to $40 4-in-1 module onto it and open it up and solder things together. And then also you're gonna have to do something with the SMA connector if you want to add an SMA antenna. With the jumper, it just right off the box, it comes with the 4-in-1 module installed, deviation installed, and it's got this awesome do-it-yourself box where you can add extra modules inside. And I'm not too familiar with the modules that you can add to this, but just the fact that it has it, and I'm confident that it'll work, is a big deal. So by far, this radio wins in that respect of setting up the deviation and the 4-in-1 modules. And let me go ahead and add those 2 check marks there, because that was a big one. Another thing that I have to notice about these 2 radios is when it comes to switches, this one has anything you could ever want. The DEVO 6S has no potentiometers, nothing that you could, turn, and it's limited to what you see, which are these switches at the top. So this is a 3-way switch, this is a 3-way switch, and the 2 inboard ones are 2-way switches. Now, when it comes to deviation, it doesn't really matter that much. It would be nice to have at least 1 potentiometer or 2 here. That would be nice, but anything that you have, even your trims, could become channels, and you can add channels within channels. A little complex, I'm not going to get into that, but even though you only see 1, 2, 3, 4 switches, doesn't mean that you can't turn these trim buttons into switches themselves, or add switches upon switches, or channels upon channels. But when it comes to the jumper, though, it is a clear winner in that respect. It's got 2-way switches, 2-way, 2-way, and I think all of these are 3-way. Yep, 3-way, 3-way, 3-way. So it's got 4 3-way switches, 2 2-way switches, and it's got these little potentiometers right here, which is really nicely placed. Kudos to this company for doing that. It feels smooth. I like that. Very good. When it comes to switches, the t8sg is a clear winner. All right, and with that said, finding out a winner, like which radio is best bang for buck for you right now that you should get. When it comes, unfortunately, when it comes to DEVO 6S, it's not even an option. If this radio were to have, and this radio definitely would benefit from the hallway sensors. But if this radio had a touchscreen display, it would knock it out the park. And here's another good thing about this jumper company. It seems like they keep advancing and listening to the market and bringing in new things to its radios. Unfortunately, when it comes to the deviation 6S, they kind of, walkera kind of went somewhere else. I don't even know what to say about them. If this DEVO 6S had the gimbals, the Hall effect gimbals, it would be the perfect radio for me. But for most of the audience out there, this is obviously the way to go. t8sg is everything the DEVO 7E should be right out of the box. It's got great gimbals, got all the switches you could ever want and need. And aside from the screen, which is the only thing I would really upgrade, and maybe kind of like the quality and fit for sure, this radio is going places, and I recommend it. I don't even have to do the math here to say that the winner is the T8sg. All right, well, that was long-winded. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. So that's my review between these two small form factor radios running deviation / 4-in-1 modules. It's a damn shame that this radio isn't being supported right now by Walkera. I will be speaking with Walkera and sending them an email because I recently communicated with them and let them know, hey, we would love to see the DEVO 6S back in the market, but we want it to be more like this radio, and if possible, better. Likewise, this radio, I'm confident if they add a touchscreen display to it, will be the bee's knees of the future for the compact size radios. So two good choices. This one is a clear winner, and this one has a lot of potential. Just let's see if Walkera decides to take another swing at it. Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great day.